I had to watch little bro die at my feet. I had to look in his eyes while he was dying, and I could do anything about it. These are the words of one of Juice WRLD's friends during his truly horrifying final 24 hours. A musical prodigy. The phrase musical genius is often overused. However, with Juice WRLD, he demonstrated an incredible amount of musical talent as a child. Born as Jared Anthony Higgins, the rapper was raised by a single mother in the Chicago suburbs, and his mom signed him up for music lessons when he was 6. His teachers were dumbfounded. Juice WRLD had the ability to memorize songs and pick up instruments within a matter of days, and his teachers told his mom that her son had something special. He joined the school band as a percussionist and learned the guitar in 7th grade. His mother was very encouraging of his musical talents, but some music was off limits. She was a devout Christian and banned him from listening to hip-hop. But as a young black kid growing up in Chicago, he was going to be introduced to hip-hop one way or another. He first heard rap music at his cousin's house, who was a big fan of Lil Wayne, Gucci Mane, Jeezy, and many more artists. Juice would listen to these artists when he got to his cousin's house, and when he went back to his own house, he tried to remember all of the lyrics in his head. Naturally, there were some lyrics that he could not remember, so he just stuck his own lyrics in instead. Although his music is heavily influenced by rock music, Juice did not naturally gravitate toward the genre. In fact, he forced himself to listen to rock music in order to impress a girl. When Juice was in the 5th grade, a girl in his class blogged about the goth metal band Black Veil Brides, and in order to impress her, Juice decided that he would become a fan too and get to know her through this rock band. In an interview with The Guardian, Juice said, "I was like, I gotta know everything about them so I can impress this girl. So I did my research. I wrote her a note. Do you like me? Yes or no?" She circled no, but I kept listening to the music. Remember those iPod classics that look like a brick now? I had one filled with Escape the Fate, Panic at the Disco, Killswitch Engage. Juice also got into hip-hop by playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Guitar Hero. So Juice realized that he actually liked rock music, and this became one of his passions. Juice was also massively into sports, particularly basketball and baseball. Baseball was something he was naturally good at it, so he even thought this could be a career path in adult life. But music was a passion that he really started pursuing in high school. In an interview with Zane Lowe, Juice said, "Back in high school, even before that, I was good at freestyling. Then I started rapping and I recorded a few records that didn't have any substance. I thought, why not put my heart into what I'm making?" Juice WRLD's music career was beginning to blossom, but another aspect of his life was also in its early stages, his drug addiction, popping Percocets. Believe it or not, Juice was drinking lean from as early as 6th grade and taking Percocet for the first time when he was 14. Percocet is a painkiller medication that is also used as a recreational drug. And a tragic part of this is the fact that his love of hip-hop turned him onto these drugs. In an interview with Adam 22, he said,
It was something that I was into early, low-key due to music. Cause I was a music head, so in 6th grade, 7th grade, I'm hearing songs about sipping lean. Those are the real influential years, I feel like, especially for a boy.
The sad reality is that young hip-hop fans will look up to their favorite rappers. And it's also natural for young hip-hop fans to replicate the behavior of a famous rap artist.
The first song I ever heard by Future was Ain't No Way Around It. The second song I've ever heard by Future is Dirty Sprite, off the first Dirty Sprite mixtape. And that had me wanting to sip lean at 11, 12 years old, bro.
At 15, Juice started recording songs under the name Juice the Kid. The name was in reference to Tupac, who played a character called Juice in a movie named after that character. And at the time, Juice had a similar hairstyle to this character. Juice also started collaborating with producers Nick Mira and Side Piece. Mira created a beat using the song Shape of My Heart by Sting, which Juice WRLD used for his song Lucid Dreams. Chicago rapper Lil Bibby was also introduced to Juice WRLD through his brother. When he heard Lucid Dreams, he told everyone that this was the best song he had heard in 10 years. At that time, Lucid Dreams was just a song floating around SoundCloud and getting nowhere. Clearly, Juice needed proper promotion and management, and Bibby took him under his wing. This song represents Juice's sound. It was the result of a kid listening to both hip-hop and rock music and encapsulated the emo rap sound that Juice was pioneering. Juice would later compare himself to the singer Kurt Cobain, who in the 1990s was seen as the voice for young people suffering from depression and sadness. Juice even referred to himself as Codeine Cobain, and believe it or not, Juice didn't really like that song. When Bibby told him it was the best song he had heard in 10 years, Juice said, "You want to know something? That's the only song that I sat down and thought about." Bibby's response was, "Well, you know what that means. You should probably sit down and think about another song." But according to Bibby, this did not prove to be a winning formula. He came back to me a couple days later and said, Bibby, check this out. I wrote this one." He played it for me and it was kind of mid, it was kind of weak. So I said, "You know what, Juice? Just keep doing your thing." Juice hated that song. He always hated it. He just trusted me. One of Lil Bibby's earliest memories of Juice showed his two sides. a musical genius, and a person struggling with addiction. Juice was recording the song Robbery while downing a full bottle of Hennessy, a cognac with a 40% alcohol volume. Bibby recalled, "He finished the whole bottle and was like in the beginning of the song, this Hennessy strong as then he freestyled the whole song. It was legendary because he was really drinking the whole bottle of Hennessy. I never saw that in my life. I couldn't believe it because I can't even drink a swig of Hennessy straight, but he drank the whole big bottle straight." In the year that he graduated high school, Juice posted his first EP, Juice Wrld 999. This also caught the eyes of Chicago rappers G Money and G Herbo. But Juice's ambition was to make it outside of the Windy City, which was easier said than done. Beyond Chicago, according to Juice Wrld, making it big outside of Chicago ain't easy. Juice compares Chicago to crabs in a bucket. Everybody is trying to get out, and when someone tries to get out, everybody is going to try to stop that person. At some point in 2017, Lil Bibby set up a meeting with the label Interscope in LA with the hope of getting Juice signed. Juice was signed to Internet Money Records, which was owned by Universal, but Juice felt that Interscope was a better fit. At the time, Juice was on SoundCloud with pretty unimpressive numbers, so Bibby really had to explain why he thought Juice would become the next big thing. In an interview with Vlad TV, Bibby said, "We get a call Interscope is interested, so we fly to Los Angeles. We still got nothing out and no numbers. They watching him record, we do the meeting. I'm playing the music like, this is the best song that I've heard in 10 years, and I know what's gonna happen. I really don't need you guys." The label was telling not to put this one out and let's work all. "Girls," I said, "F that. This is the song I need out right now." I knew this was the song that was going to get everybody. While Juice Wrld did not have big numbers to his name, similar artists were making waves. In 2017, XXXTentacion dropped his debut album, 17, and Lil Peep released Come Over When You're Sober, PT1. There was a new movement called emo rap coming to the fore, and Juice was destined to be its next biggest star. Interscope signed a $3 million deal with Juice. Sadly, Lil Peep passed away a few months after releasing his first album and died from an accidental drug overdose. This prompted the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency to dismiss the rising SoundCloud rap scene for its glorification of opioid use. Juice Wrld apparently slowed down his drug use after Peep's death, but he denied that his music was glorifying drug use and believed that he was making music that would help other addicts cope with their addiction. He said, "For me, it's therapy. Every time I make music, it helps me cope. Part of the reason I make it is also for other people to get that release too. I know I can touch lives with my voice, so I choose to use it." When Juice wanted to rap, he didn't speak about getting money, fast cars, and bikini-clad women. That wasn't what interested him. He wanted something that spoke to his fans. Instead, he was rapping about relationships, heartbreak, and his inner struggles. He shied away from producing braggadocious hip-hop music and instead focused on something that would resonate with regular fans. In an interview with The Guardian, Juice said, "There's just so much trash, you know? I'm not clowning any other artists. I love a lot of other rap artists. But after a while, I talk about stuff they either don't know anything about or don't want to admit that they know about. I could write song after song about jumping on private jets, but the people that download my music, most of them won't ever step on a private jet." In February 2018, Juice released his first ever music video, All Girls Are the Same. This single peaked at number 41 on Billboard. And 3 months later, in May, he released his debut album, Goodbye and Good Riddance. That same month, he released Lucid Dreams as a single. And when this song was released through a proper label, it peaked at number 2 on Billboard. Lil Bibby was right. It was a pretty good song. And Juice Wrld had more than made it outside of Chicago. He was an international superstar, newfound fame. Lucid Dreams transformed Juice's life forever. He suddenly had a lot more money, and he decided to spend it quite leisurely. Lil Bibby fondly remembers him stupidly spending his money on clothes. He wrote, "Watched him spend millions of dollars of clothes, and he would dress so he used to think he was fresh A-self." Bibby added, "All you had to do was say it's only 10 of these in the world and he would pay whatever. No talking him out of it. Watched him buy shoes for $25K. To wear them one time playing basketball in them was so beat after that." That being said, his mother tried her best to make sure that his newfound fame did not go to his head. The first time I saw him perform, it was in Chicago. I forget where, but I saw the crowd and I saw the girls and take a selfie with me. He was pumped up. He was still living with me at the time, and when he came home, I said, "Take out the garbage," because I just wanted him to stay humble. June 2018 was a pretty bleak month for the emo rap movement. Temptation was killed at the tender age of just 21. This prompted Juice to release an EP, Too Soon, in memory of his heroes Lil Peep and XXX. In rock music, there is something known as the 27 Club, which refers to the disturbing number of rock stars that died at the age of 27. Among this list includes Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Kurt Cobain. In one of the songs, Juice raps, "What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21." But Juice Wrld would simply go on to bigger success. That summer, Juice Wrld did a freestyle for the British DJ Tim Westwood and was able to rap off the dome for an hour long. He was continually proving just how talented he was. During that year, he also worked with the producer Benny Blanco, who realized that Juice was a cut above everyone else. Benny said he hears 1 second of the beat, he goes in, and not only does he come up with the lyrics and the melody, but he does the entire song in one take. And he did 3 more takes and did 3 more hit songs over the same beat. And then he just says, pick the best parts you like. And it wasn't like he had dumb lyrics. His made you feel something. In October of that year, Juice released a mixtape named Wrld on Drugs, which was a collaborative project with Future. He was now working alongside one of the rappers he listened to as a kid. Juice Wrld continued to be positive, and there is no better example than what came to light in November 2018. The musician Sting was full of praise when he heard Lucid Dreams and called it a beautiful interpretation that is faithful to the original song's form, and joked that the royalties would put my grandkids through college. But the song's producer Nick Mira went on social media to say that Sting was not just joking about the royalties, but flexing. In a since-deleted tweet, Mira wrote, at official Sting and his whole team. After taking 85% of Lucid Dreams for interpolating Shape of My Heart, not even sampling, he threatened to take us to court for trying to get any percent. Sting also flexed stealing our money and said it put his grandkids through college. He followed up with, everybody put a awful Sting in the comments if you real. Sting has denied that he tried to sue over the song, and whatever the case, Juice did not seem to be too fazed over the situation. He wrote, lost millions, made millions. The song impacted to many PPL in a good way for me to be upset over it. There's always more money to be made, and I will it so. 2 heart emojis. Maintaining success. In reality, Juice knew that he was not going to be a one-hit wonder, and Lucid Dreams was just the beginning and not the end. In early 2019, Juice's team had high expectations. Bibby said, I think he can be like Drake for real. I think he can be like that because his music can touch everybody. I just want his albums to be his real-life story. I always try to ask him like, what you going through right now? How you feeling? What's the story you want to tell? At this point, Juice's day-to-day manager was Peter Gideonwell, who said, I totally believe deep in my heart that he is the GOAT and the only person that can take the throne away from you or whoever else you want to put at the top of the rap game. If it is Travis, if it is J. Cole, I feel like he is the future of this rap. It could take him 5 years, but I think he is going to get there, and that throne is going to be his. Juice Wrld released his second album, Death Race for Love, which reached #1 on the Billboard album charts. The cover was designed in the style of a PlayStation game, like how he came across different music through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Juice spent the early spring touring with Nicki Minaj on her world tour, and the rest of the spring and early summer on a collaborative tour with Ski Mask the Slump God. He also worked on tracks with Elliott, Goulding BTS, and NBA Youngboy, among others. While he was touring, HBO was filming a documentary about Juice Wrld. They found him to be an open book, and he was essentially sharing everything with them. Tommy Oliver, the film's director, said he was both willing and able to discuss the things that he was going through without a filter and without shame or regard for how it was received. For so many people who tend to bottle things up or don't have the language to discuss something, to be able to see somebody who is willing to do that and can make incredible music with that, I think that was something really special. And there is a rather horrifying moment in the documentary that captured what was yet to come. Juice shows the camera his tongue, which has 5 pills on it waiting to go down. He washes it down with water and says to the camera, when we both die, we're gonna have somebody put that out. Juice's girlfriend has later revealed that Juice suffered from clinical depression. And this is an illness where it sometimes does not matter how much money you have or how much your friends and family love you, you can still be depressed. As she explains, even when he had every reason to be happy, he still wasn't, and obviously that's mental illness. If you have family, girlfriend, money, you have the job that you want, but you're still unhappy at that point, your brain isn't working properly, and you need professional help. In the fall, Juice was set to tour Australia, but the police were on his tail. It had gotten to the stage where the police were searching his private plane to see what was on board. Eventually, they were cleared and allowed to fly to Australia, but this was another sign of what was yet to come. Sources told TMZ that customs agents conducted searches on him and his entourage at LAX. The plane was allowed to take off, but Juice was now on their radar. The sad reality was that the only thing stepping in the way of Juice's success was himself. His friends decided that they were going to save their friend, not just to save his career, but to save his life. Concerned friends. His friends were also aware that, like many addicts, Juice was hiding how much drugs he was taking. Juice's Juice's recording engineer Max Lord said, "We were all starting to be on his case a lot more about the amount of pills he was taking. He was hiding and compartmentalizing how much he was doing with different people. He'd come into the studio room and I act like he hasn't gotten high at all that day and do a certain amount in there before I tell him, bro, no, chill. Then he was going upstairs and hanging out with the guys and doing the same thing. And once the tour of Australia finished, Lord and other friends decided to confront Juice. We had just broken down a lot of barriers with him. I and a couple other people had come to him in tears like, we're worried about you and we're scared we're going to lose you if you keep up these habits. And we have to do something." And he agreed. And we had treatment booked for later starting on December 22nd. That was the soonest they were available to get him in. It hurts. It really hurts. December 2nd was Juice WRLD's 21st birthday. He talked to his mother that day and spoke candidly about his addiction. His mother recalled this conversation in an interview and said, "He told me he was going to go to a place in a few weeks to get help. He just had access to so much. It was so readily available to him. That was hard to watch. He knew that was my biggest fear. It wasn't like he tried to hide what he was doing from me. He was honest. I understood it was an addiction and he needed help. I was just trying to get him to the place where he knew how serious it was." Juice was set to go to rehab, but things weren't so simple. As Bibby recalls, he agreed to do, because that was like pulling teeth with him. "I found out that he was doing 4 Percocets at a time. So I get to freaking out, like, what the I get to telling people like, look, we got to send this kid to rehab. I'm telling everyone because I'm thinking that's a lot. Because all people I know only do at the maximum." Then, in what almost seemed inevitable, things fell apart. Juice WRLD's final hours. On December 8th, Juice WRLD and his crew were set to fly from LA to Chicago. Footage was released of Juice WRLD on the plane, who spent his time up in the sky goofing around and hanging out with his friends. It was when he landed back home in Chicago that things took a devastating turn. At Chicago's Midway Airport, witnesses recall seeing him walking through the airport and suffering a seizure. Law enforcement said that when paramedics arrived on the scene, he was bleeding from the mouth. He was transported by Chicago Fire to the hospital, but was pronounced dead upon arrival at 3:15 a.m. An autopsy was conducted, but proved inconclusive. As news of his death spread across the world, more details emerged. Apparently, when the plane touched down, the feds were waiting for them. Like his Australian tour, the police wanted to search the plane once again. The authorities were given a tip-off that drugs and weapons were being carried on the plane. When the plane arrived at 2 a.m., police officers were there to meet them. On the aircraft, sniffer dogs found multiple bags of marijuana and several bottles of codeine. 3 guns were also found on the plane too. During the search, Juice WRLD went into convulsions. His girlfriend told agents that he had been taking Percocet pills, so Juice was given an antidote called Narcan, which revived him, but only temporarily. Unidentified sources at TMZ alleged that Juice swallowed pills before landing so he could hide the drugs from authorities. However, another source was willing to go on record and say that this wasn't the case. Juice's photographer, Chris Long, was so frustrated by the misinformation about what happened during these final hours that he decided to set the record straight. Speaking about his addiction at this time, he said, "Jay was just hooked bad. The amount he took daily was absurd, and he hid how much he really took from mostly everyone. Everyone around him tried really hard to get him to slow down. When he agreed to rehab, it was because he wanted to lower his tolerance. He didn't want to stop." Jay was supposed to go to rehab that month. "We tried so hard to do positive things every day, like ride dirt bikes or paintball to keep busy and not do pills. But every night once he hit the studio, that was it. He loved it. I never thought he would OD. I was always scared of getting bad press pills, so got test strips. I tested every batch he got, but no one knew how much he really took because he was hiding it. Once Max and I really started counting how much he had and how fast he went through them, then Chris recalls some horrifying moments. I had to watch little bro die at my feet. I had to look in his eyes while he was dying and I could do anything about it. I had to watch Allie holding him screaming, losing the love of her life right in her arms. And I can't stop thinking about him over and over again there on the ground. And I was just looking in his eyes. That's how I had to say bye to him. It's just burned into my brain. I wanted to stop." Chris also clarified that Juice WRLD did not swallow a bunch of pills to hide them from the cops. It simply made no sense. As Chris explains, he had nothing to worry about. He knew the cops were there before we landed. We put that strap in my bag. It was all good. I had a clean record, and I'm a register owner. I had no problem taking that charge. Jay did not swallow a bunch of pills because the police were at the airport. We gave no f**ks about them being there. He could have flushed them down the toilet if he cared. The bottom line was that Juice WRLD prophesied his own death. He did not make it past 21. Juice's legacy. Although it seemed like all of the facts and information about Juice WRLD's death had been cleared up, Juice WRLD's girlfriend friend posted a video that added more mystery to what went down on that day. She said, "I've been quiet for the last year and a half plus to myself. Took myself away from everyone because I knew what was going to happen. If people knew what happened the day before Jared passed and the day that Jared passed and everything like that, which I cannot speak upon at this moment, but I will. I just have to make sure that I'm safe. No, you guys have my full support. I cannot let Jared's legacy be what it is. Jared would never treat any of his fans like this. It's always been about money, and Jared made enough money to not have this issue." In the aftermath of his death, Juice WRLD's mom posted a statement on behalf of the family. It read, "We love Jared with all of our hearts and cannot believe our time with him has been cut short." As he often addressed in his music and to his fans, Jared battled with prescription drug dependency. Addiction knows no boundaries, and its impact goes way beyond the person fighting it. Jared was a son, brother, grandson, friend, and so much more to so many people who wanted more than anything to see him defeat addiction. We hope the conversations he started in his music and his legacy will help others win their battles, as that is what he wanted more than anything. We know that Jared's legacy of love, joy, and emotional honesty will live on. Juice WRLD's mom could not do anything about the fact that her son was taken away from her. What she could do was control her response. She decided that she could use her new platform to help people facing the same struggles as her son and make sure that there are no mothers put in the same horrible position. In an interview on Hot 97, she said, "It was devastating. But one thing I decided early on was I was not going to hide the fact that he died from a drug overdose. I didn't want to keep that secret because a lot of people deal with that every day. I said, if you have anxiety, then you need to get medicated properly for it instead of medicating yourself. I talked to him about it. I told him my biggest fear was him overdosing on the stuff. That's why I made the decision I have to talk about it with other people. I can't keep that as a secret." And of course, the death of Juice WRLD also hit the hip-hop community pretty hard. But because rappers like XX, Lil Peep, Mac Miller, and countless others had already passed away, it was all the more tough to take that yet another rapper was added to the list. Drake said, "I would like to see all the younger talent live longer, and I hate waking up hearing another story filled with blessings was cut short." Lil Durk said, "He was like an icon, not just saying it because he died, but he had an advantage to be like the next, coming out of Chicago, like the next Kanye type because he was smart." And then Vic Mensa said something quite interesting. He said, "I think that as members of the hip-hop community, we need to take responsibility for the things that we say. We need to recognize that we talk about influences children. So when we are steady pushing a message of lean and Percocets and Xans, we are polluting the minds of the youth. We have a responsibility to give it to them in a real way." Juice WRLD helped people through his music, and his death hopefully also sparked a change to help people too. Thank you so much for watching. Please click on some of the videos you see in front of you now.